Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Jax Taylor is recounting his issues for Danny and Jason in a preview of Season 2, Episode 2 of The Valley. Although Jax Taylor took some time off to get inpatient treatment and focus on his mental health last summer, we're now getting a closer look at what led up to the important decision in Season 2's Episode 2 of The Valley, and who helped to push Jax into it. I'm going to this mental hospital, this mental clinic or mental health clinic. Jax confesses to Danny Bucco and Jason Caperna in the above preview of Episode 2. This place I've researched a little bit. After confirming he's checking in for an inpatient stay, Jax adds, "I'm just trying to wait for this assessment guy. This guy's supposed to call me back. I'm just getting frustrated. A week long of me having this conversation 50 King times. I get it. I got it. You guys are just on the end of me talking about the same sh over and over and over." Jax admitted there was one big factor in his decision to seek treatment: family. "It's tough for me to ask for help. But I talked to my sister, and she was like, 'You should go,'" he says in the preview for Episode 2. He previously revealed those close to him had pushed him during the Season 3, Episode 2 of executive producer Alex Baskin's Bravo's Hot Mic podcast. "It was probably the hardest thing of my life. It was very scary," Jax said on the podcast. "My friends picked me up. They kind of had an intervention." He ended up checking into treatment in July 2024. "I was coming home from the gym, and my buddies were there, and just saying, 'Listen, it's time for you to go,'" Jax admitted on the podcast. "It was a lot of people, and not to break the fourth wall or anything, but my manager saw me kind of going a little bit off the rails, and they said, 'Maybe this is a good move for you.' So I honestly have to thank them because I was bad. It was really, really bad. I don't know where I would be if I didn't go to this institution." As Jax tells Danny and Jason in the Episode 2 preview, there's a lot of issues. Additionally, both Jax and Brittany have said that the breaking point in their separation was his reaction to Brittany's hookup with Jax's friend Julian. "I just saw the iPad, and she was still talking to Julian and sending him pictures, like naked pictures and pictures of my son," Jax said on the Hot Mic podcast. "I lost it. That was where I hit the bottom of the barrel." By the time the cameras started rolling on Season 2 of The Valley, Jax Taylor had already reached a critical turning point in his life. What looked from the outside like another dramatic chapter in reality TV was, behind the scenes, a deeply personal reckoning. In Episode 2, Jax opens up in a way fans haven't seen before: raw, vulnerable, and without the bravado that had defined his on-screen persona for years. Seated on a patio, nursing a lukewarm coffee, Jax sighs. The camera lingers on his face. His eyes, puffy from lack of sleep, betray more than fatigue. "I'm going to this mental hospital, this mental clinic or mental health clinic," he tells Danny Bucco and Jason Caperna, his voice heavy with the weight of unspoken battles. The confession is understated, but its gravity lands like a punch. Jax, who for years wore his confidence like armor, is finally letting it fall away. "This place I've researched a little bit," he adds, trying to soften the awkwardness in the air. Danny and Jason exchange a glance but say nothing, letting Jax continue. "I'm just trying to wait for this assessment guy. This guy's supposed to call me back. I'm just getting frustrated. A week long of me having this conversation 50 King times. I get it. I got it. You guys are just on the end of me talking about the same sh over and over and over." The frustration, the desperation, it's all bubbling to the surface. But beneath the outbursts is a man trying to hold himself together. "I talked to my sister," Jax says after a beat, "and she was like, 'You should go.' That was the turning point. It was a Tuesday night in June. The house was quiet, eerily so. Brittany had taken their son to stay with her mom in Kentucky for a few days. The silence gave Jax space, but also left him face to face with the thoughts he'd spent years avoiding. That night, he did something unusual. He picked up the phone and called his sister, Jenny. She'd been the calm voice in his storm since childhood. Even when his life became a mess of tabloid headlines and Bravo marathons, Jenny remained his tether to reality. He didn't lead with a breakdown. He asked how the kids were, how work was going. But Jenny, always intuitive, sensed something was wrong. "Jax," she said gently, "how are you doing?" There was a long pause. Then, for the first time in years, he told the truth. "I'm not okay." That night, Jenny stayed on the phone for hours. They talked about everything: his fears, his anger, the sleepless nights, the compulsive need to always do something just to avoid sitting with himself. She listened, and when he finally stopped talking, she said the words that would echo in his mind for weeks. "You should go." A few days later, Jax was coming home from the gym when he saw them: Danny, Jason, and 2 other friends waiting in his living room. At first, he thought it was just a casual hang. But the mood was serious. "Listen," Jason started carefully, "this isn't easy, but it's time." Jax looked around. Their faces were solemn. No jokes, no side comments, no bullshit. "I'm not doing this," Jax said quickly, defensive out of instinct. I'm fine," but they didn't flinch. "You're not," Danny said simply, "and we care too much to keep watching you spiral." It wasn't an ambush. It was an act of love. Jax sat down, his gym bag still on his shoulder, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't fight back. Just a few weeks before that, things had hit a boiling point in his marriage. Jax had already been acting erratically, impulsive decisions, intense mood swings, nights when he'd leave the house just to drive around with no destination. But what shattered the already fragile trust between him and Brittany was an iPad he wasn't supposed to see. "I just saw the iPad," Jax would later admit on Bravo's Hot Mic podcast, "and she was still talking to Julian and sending him pictures, like naked pictures, and pictures of my son." He paused. "I lost it." Julian wasn't just some stranger. He was someone Jax had considered a friend. That betrayal hit deeper than any tabloid scandal. That was where I hit the bottom of the barrel. The anger, hurt, confusion, it all collided that night. He punched a hole in the bedroom wall. Then another. Then sat on the floor, trembling until the sun came up. He didn't speak to Brittany for 2 days. Jax checked into the facility in July 2024, a discreet location in Northern California that specialized in mental health treatment for high-profile clients. "It was probably the hardest thing of my life. It was very scary," he recalled on the podcast. No cameras, no phones, no fanfare, just a man stripped down to the basics: sleep, therapy, healing. "It was humbling," he said. "You sit there, and for the first time, you can't escape yourself. There's nowhere to run, no distractions, just you." There were group sessions, one-on-ones, guided meditation, journaling, a detox from social media. At first, Jax hated it. But then, something shifted. I started to hear my own voice again. Not the version of me that plays a character for TV or the one who's always on defense. Just me. One of the therapists said something that stuck with him. "Your rage is a mask. Underneath it is sadness, and under the sadness is fear." That line haunted him for days. Jax realized he had never truly dealt with the grief of losing his father years ago, nor the pressure of trying to be a perfect husband, father, and businessman all at once. The need to control everything around him came from a deep-rooted fear of losing everything. "I wasn't just reacting to Brittany," he said. "I was reacting to years of built-up stuff, and I took it out on the people I love." When he came back home, it wasn't with grand gestures. He didn't expect a parade. In fact, he expected to find an empty house. But Brittany and their son were there. "I'm not ready to fix everything," Brittany told him. "But I'm glad you went." They're still separated, still figuring it out. But now, Jax is doing the work, not for the cameras, not for image control, but for himself. "I used to think asking for help was weak," he says in the Valley episode. but it's the bravest thing I've ever done. Season 2 of The Valley isn't just another look into the messy lives of reality stars. It's a story of reckoning, redemption, and real change. I'm not perfect. I'll probably mess up again, Jax says. But now I've got the tools, and I've got people in my life who love me enough to call me out. And sometimes that's what it takes: a sister's quiet push, a friend's tough love, and the willingness to finally face the mirror. Please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos.